Before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to say for everyone that there have been some changes to my Patreon. It became a lot and too overwhelming for me to be doing the Patreon episodes right now. I just have a lot going on in life and needed to save my mental health. So I'm taking a step back for now. I am still offering a Patreon subscription. It is like less expensive, $3 a month, and you can get all the Bravo News episodes ad free. And when I do choose to do bonus content, it'll be up there for anybody who's subscribing. So if you'd like to just support me over there, you absolutely can. Or if you just want the episodes ad free, it's a great way to, avoid the ads and support me as a creator. So it's patreon.com/Bravo and Botox, but there will not be the bonus episodes like every week like there were before, which is why, I adjusted it, changed the price, and have spoken and sent out a message to all my Patreon subscribers over the years. And I just wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to them again for being just the best, for supporting, for putting your hard-earned money to that, and for engaging with me and discussing Bravo with me on Patreon over these years. Those interactions and all that stuff will definitely be missed. And please, keep commenting on the ad-free news episodes so we can still chat about Bravo. Okay, everyone, enjoy part 1 of today's episode. Welcome to the Bravo Papers, a safe space for all us Bravo fans who love to analyze, deconstruct, and talk about our favorite Bravo shows ad nauseum. So join me, Bravo and Botox, and we'll catch up on all the Bravo news and read way too much into our favorite shows and Bravo celebrities. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a very overdue episode of the Bravo Papers, Bravo Weekly News. I have been sick as a dog with the flu, which is why this is way more delayed than it should have been. I had in my plans to take 1 week off, like over the Christmas, time, basically, right? Be with my family, that kind of stuff. But then I got this illness prior to Christmas. So that's why there was no episode like leading up to Christmas. I was really, really not feeling well. Then the week of Christmas came and it's still not feeling well. And on top of that, it's, Christmas. And then since then, I've still been kind of recovering and also doing all the Christmas things because we had to cancel everything. Like, I didn't see anybody. We were just me, my husband, and my daughter were all so sick. We were in this house just sick, doing nothing for like over a week. It was crazy. I honestly, and I know a lot of you have probably heard or have experienced like this really bad flu virus that's going around. I mean, I think we must have had it. I had it. I don't know for sure, but I'm still getting better. My daughter was really sick, like crazy. And yeah, thank God she's okay. I'm feeling better. He's feeling better, but it knocked us the F out. Okay. Like we didn't even, like my daughter didn't even want to open presents on Christmas, like an 8-year-old. So that's how bad she was feeling. Like she did after like, it took a really long time because she would need to like rest in between. Like it was crazy. Canceled all plans. Like I didn't see my parents or my in-laws or anything till like yesterday or a couple days ago. So yeah, it's been pretty wild. Pretty wild. That's what's been going on with me. I just wanted to catch you guys up in case you're like, where the fuck are my Bravo Weekly News episodes? Which you probably are thinking that. I'm not just ignoring you guys. I'm not just ghosting. I just like, when you're sick to the point, like you can't even like post an update. Like that was me. I was like sick to the point where I was like, I just want to live. Like, I can't even update people. I need to, like, and I'm immunocompromised, so it takes me so long to get over these illnesses. Like my husband, his was the shortest and he didn't have it that bad, but me and my daughter were pretty bad. Anyways, I'm glad that's behind me. That will be a Christmas I will remember for all the wrong reasons, but it's behind us, at least for me. If any of you are sick and dealing with it, I send you all the love and healing vibes, and I hope you're feeling better soon and that your families and loved ones can avoid this. I mean, I don't talk about non-Bravo stuff often, but my God, you know, protect yourselves as best you can because this is not a fun virus. All right. So let's talk about something else besides illnesses. Let's talk about some Bravo news because, I mean, my God, do we need to catch up? You know, it's not like there's been like insane amounts of news that I've missed out on, but there's a good amount. So we'll get into that. And I think we should start with Real Housewives of New Jersey because Melissa Gorga is stranded in Aruba. So it's just so random, but not random. So you know, as we all know, with everything that's going on in the world, I don't get it. I don't generally don't talk about politics on this show because it's supposed to be kind of like a take a break from all the serious stuff in the world and just think about Bravo. But with everything going on with Trump and Venezuela, the airspace was closed, like the Caribbean airspace, and yeah, the Caribbean airspace. And I guess the Gorgas were on vacation in Aruba prior to the airstrikes and all that stuff happening. So now they are stranded there. So first of all, first Melissa posts in like, I don't know, very true Melissa fashion, WTF is going on. And then it's like, okay, girl, like your social media can't be so like it can't be so catered that you are not even seeing this like insane news. It's like a huge geopolitical conflict happening. And don't tell me that like no one has a feed that's more catered to Bravo than I do. But that being said, it was the first thing I saw when I opened social media that morning, right? So whatever. Anyways, I guess that's just Melissa's way of like I think that's her way of talking about it without like making an actual statement. Because let's be honest, as many people assume and kind of know, you know, we all assume like the Gorgas and the Judices, et cetera, are going to be, you know, they're going to be probably Republican and they're probably Trump supporters. And I don't know if we have like solid evidence of that or if there's like a voting record or something. I don't know about that, but everyone seems to assume that they are. I think it's a pretty safe bet. But Melissa's getting a lot of comments, you know, you voted for this, etc. Like she's getting tons of those. And then she posted stranded, flight canceled with no rebooking options for weeks with a question mark at United. And then somebody replied and put, you voted for this. Remember, enjoy your extended vacation. Why are you tagging United? Your president closed the airspace. And then your president also took away the safety nets that would have allowed you to be compensated for your canceled flight. Okay. People are not fucking around. I'll say that. My goodness. So Melissa's not having the best day. And I'm wondering if she's regretting posting that on Threads because she's just getting eaten alive in the comments. But from what I saw on the news this morning, the airspace is, I believe, going to be open by like midnight tonight so that most flights will be able to resume. So congratulations, Melissa. You'll make it back to New Jersey. Yeah. So it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, everything comes back to Bravo, right? Even the most serious news, there ends up being a Bravo tie somehow, right? There's no escaping it. And, you know, I think a lot of people were annoyed by like some of the entitlement of the posts, like tagging United. Like, what do you think's going to happen? You know, the airspace is closed. You know, there's a literal like war being started. This isn't like there's nothing United can do about it. Like they can't do anything. Like it's just like this like delusional level of, and these are not even like high celebrities, you know, these are like D-list, you know, reality stars. And it's like acting like United is going to be like, well, we better just disobey the closed airspace laws and we'll just, because Melissa Gorga needs to get home to New Jersey and go to her fake clothing boutique and pretend to sell clothes. Like, no, they're not doing that, Melissa. Like, just, you know, it's not about you, honey. Like, I understand you're annoyed at being stuck there, but also you're someone who has money and is more privileged. Like, you know, There's probably people in much worse situations who are stuck there who can't afford to stay for an extra week or whatever the case is. So it's just a little tone deaf from Melissa, which I'm not surprised because Melissa's just always tone deaf. Okay, but other New Jersey news. Before going to Aruba, the Gorgas and the Judices were reunited for Christmas. A Christmas miracle, if you will. No, I'm just kidding. But they were reunited and spent Christmas together. You know, they did a whole photo shoot, all dressed up and all that. And Gia was sitting on Joe's lap, like not in a creepy way. But anyways, it just sounds creepy when you just hear it, but it's not. And then there was like, you know, Melissa and Teresa did like a TikTok where they did the like sprinkle cookie thing, and Teresa tried Melissa's sprinkle cookies, and then there was like Melania and Antonia reunited. So they're laying it on thick. I'm not going to lie. I mean, listen, again, I've said this before, whether it's fake or not, I think at the end of the day, it's still a good thing for two families who haven't spoken to come back together. And even if it is for the reason of wanting to get back on TV, at the end of the day, it's still forcing them to spend time together, which generally will probably lead to, talking again and, reuniting and rebuilding those relationships. And I do think that's important, especially like for the younger, they're not like kids anymore, but still like they weren't a part of it. And like, it sucks, like, for Melania and Antonia have not been able to have a friendship and all that kind of stuff. So I do think that it's still a good thing, whether we question, the intentions behind it or not. In other New Jersey news, Marge was on a podcast recently kind of talking about this very same topic, and she was pretty dismissive of it, of the reconciliation between the two families. Continues to say that the timing is interesting. She thinks Melissa's just doing it because she wants to make her husband happy and it's easier for her. And she says, I think she's a team player for her family, and I think it makes life a lot easier if everyone gets along. The new year is here, and Wayfair has everything you need to refresh, organize, and elevate your space for 2026. Personally, I need to do some major organizing and storage, especially after the holidays. We accumulate a lot after Christmas, especially the gifts and toys my daughter gets. So I'm definitely using Wayfair to help me find storage space for all that stuff. Wayfair has a huge selection of home decor items, as many people know, but I was surprised at how much organizational and storage stuff they have. I got these really great collapsible storage bins in a linen fabric. They look very chic and modern, but they're also really functional. And they had so many different colors and size options, like anyone could find one that would suit their home. And after all the money I spent over the holidays, it was really nice that I could easily search within my price range and budget using their price filter. So get organized, refreshed, and back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. I don't know about you guys, but lately I'm finding it really difficult to find high quality clothing at a reasonable price point. And what drives me crazy is the amount of companies using polyester blends and then charging outrageous prices for them. And I just can't anymore. That's why I've started shopping at Quince. Quince has all the staples covered, from Mongolian cashmere sweaters to 100% silk for easy dressing up to perfectly cut denim. Their wardrobe essentials are crafted to last season after season. And like everything from Quince, each piece is made with premium materials in ethical factories and priced way below other luxury brands. I can't tell you how much I am loving the 100% yak wool crewneck sweater I got. It's so unbelievably soft, and you can see and feel the quality. It's something I'll wear forever, and it'll last forever. I already wear it all the time. It's holding up so well, no pilling, and it returns to its original shape and fit after hand washing. So refresh your wardrobe with Quince. don't wait. Go to quince.com/Bravo Papers for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too. That's QUINCE.com/Bravo Papers to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Bravo Papers. So listen, I think that Marge is questioning this, the same way many people are, which I think is fine. But I do think she has a bit of an ulterior motive because it's Marge and there's always an ulterior motive. I think that her questioning the authenticity of it is helpful for her because, quite frankly, if they don't just, like, for example, reboot the entire cast, let's say, if they bring, some of the old people back, okay, if Melissa and Teresa are reunited and they come back to the show, it's pretty clear that Teresa is not going to be wanting, to be around Marge or have any sort of like contact with her and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe Teresa would still film with Marge. I guess there's like a chance that she would, because I think she's pretty desperate to get back on TV. But Marge has made it kind of clear, as she does in this interview, that she says that her and Teresa's ship has sailed, and that there's certain boundaries that were crossed that they didn't, I'm just reading it, sorry, that they didn't take responsibility for. And, she basically is like implying that, like, for her safety, she wouldn't film with Teresa or be around Teresa. So yeah, so it's kind of like, okay, if Melissa and Teresa get back on the show, then that's kind of like, that's it for Marge. Like, she doesn't have a chance to get back on the show, right? And I can understand how Marge is like, well, let me poke holes in the authenticity of this reconciliation between these two women because it kind of is getting in the way of my chances of getting back on the show. And I think Marge kind of sees that. Because if Melissa and Teresa are good and Bravo wants them back, it's like, where does Marge fit in? She really doesn't fit in because, she's now like the obstacle of Melissa and Teresa. She's going to get in between them. And Melissa, like, there is no amount of friendship, love, or care that Melissa has for Marge that will override Melissa's desire to be back on television. So if what Melissa has to do to be back on television is be good with her sister-in-law, then she will throw anyone under the bus to be back on TV. And so will Teresa. So that's why I'm just like, I think Marge knows that. She sees the writings on the wall. The other thing that she said was she has no ill will towards Teresa. Says she was physically ill over how the Special Forces segments spoke to Teresa, adding it's horrible she had to endure this. I mean, I don't know if you were physically, like, come on. So she talks about coming back to New Jersey and if Bravo's made any decisions. She says there's been no phone calls from Bravo. They've not solidified the cast. It could go in any direction. I cannot put myself in a dangerous situation, and I do not feel comfortable being around certain people, and I am not talking about Teresa. Oh, okay. So who's she talking about? Oh, but I'm talking about certain people she's related to. Okay, so Louis. I actually forgot about Louis for a second. I forgot he existed. Okay. I think when someone has nothing to lose, nothing is off the table in their behavior, and I can't put my family in jeopardy like that. Okay. Interesting. I'm rewatching Potomac just because I've been sick and I watched like literally everything that exists. So I was like, let me watch old seasons of Potomac because they just always cheer me up. And that was something that Monique kept saying, like I think it's in season 3. She keeps saying that about like Ashley, about like, I can't be around people who have nothing to lose when I have everything to lose, when Ashley's like trying to call her out for crashing her car after they had lunch and had martinis or whatever. Anyway, sorry, that was random and has no bearing on this discussion. But all right, what should we go to next? Let's talk about Summer House. Because why not? Because Summer House is coming back. Summer House is what cures my seasonal depression every year. And I'm not even saying that in a like funny way. I do get very down in February and March. And I gotta say, Summer House helps. It really helps, honestly, because you're watching other people. So if you don't watch Summer House and you have seasonal depression, you should watch it because it's watching other people in the summer. And it just kind of reminds you that like summer's coming. It's still pretty far away, but it's on the horizon. It's not like, you know, you can get through it. You can get there and everyone's partying and having fun and it's a great distraction. I stand by that. So as many of us know, this whole Kyle and Amanda saga is ongoing. And over the holidays, there were pictures posted by Kyle with his mom and his him and Amanda's dogs, or at least one of the dogs, and then like a family picture of him at like, you know, like a family Christmas. I actually love his parents' house. It's like so 90s. It's like got like the floral wallpaper and like the wood colored trim and like, you know, it's just that like 90s Christmas aesthetic that you just that makes you feel like fuzzy inside. I just love it. Anyways, besides the point, Amanda's not there. Okay. So a gajillion people are like, where's Amanda? Where's Amanda? Where's Amanda? Like commenting on Kyle's posts. So Amanda went ahead and commented, where's Amanda? Okay. I get she's trying to be funny. I get it. But I have and it is kind of funny. I'll give her that. But it's annoying. I'm just gonna echo the same thing I said last time I talked about Amanda like kind of gaslighting us. Like she's starting to get on my nerves a little bit with this. Don't act like we're the crazy ones. Don't act like it's like crazy for people to think it's weird that you are not spending Christmas with your husband. That is strange. Like it's like this like gaslighting of like, oh, you guys are all so obnoxious with this where's Amanda? Where's Amanda? It was just like the other thing where, you know, the trailer comes out. It clearly shows Amanda and Kyle having issues and Kyle and Amanda talking about Kyle sleeping over at a fan's house, etc. And then she's like poking fun by like being like, guys, I did move to a different apartment. And then she's in her dog's like doghouse or whatever. And it's like, and I get she posted that before the trailer came out, but it's like, don't act like you acted like we were all crazy for like believing rumors from Dumois that you guys are living separately. And then we see the trailer 2 days later. Stop trying to gaslight me. We're not crazy. It is weird to not be with your husband on Christmas. And fine, you can like be annoyed at all the comments being like, where's Amanda? Where's Amanda? Where's Amanda? I get that. But like, I don't know. I just find it obnoxious. And it's like, I'm always ready to back up the woman. And I think that Kyle has been a terrible husband. I think Amanda should leave him. I think she'd be so much happier and have a better life and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, it's hard to get behind someone when they're doing stuff like this. Like, we want to be on your side, Amanda. We want to be like, yes, Amanda, yes, girl, leave that guy. He's a piece of shit. Do it. Whatever. Like, we want to be like, go, Amanda. But it's very hard to be like, go, Amanda. Number one, when you've been putting up with this behavior for way too long and, you know, forgiving him at like the drop of a hat when he's made zero changes. That's one thing. And number two, it's also hard to be supportive of you when you're like getting annoyed at us, the audience, or people for speculating when it's completely normal to speculate, especially when you're a reality TV couple. Okay, that's the end of my rant. Now, Katie, you may be like, what does Katie have to do with this? Okay, so Katie Maloney, she was on her podcast and she actually compared her former marriage to Tom Schwartz with Kyle and Amanda's relationship. Basically, she was talking about like the late nights, like, you know, Schwartz would like go out and party and she wouldn't know where he was and she'd be checking his location, like to make sure that he's like not dead in a ditch and stuff like that. And she talked about how it's just so disrespectful and unfair to put that kind of stress and heaviness on your partner, right? Where it's like you are expecting your partner to just kind of like put up with it, but you're not thinking about what you're putting your partner through, right? Like you're not thinking about the fact that like you're putting knots in their stomach, you're keeping them up all night. you're causing them to feel depressed or what. Like, it's very selfish. And I think she's absolutely right. I mean, she said like she doesn't know for a fact that Schwartz ever like slept at a fan's house, but she's like, probably he did. Like, we can assume that he did. But yeah, and I think she has a point. Like, that is I think the thing with Kyle and Amanda. It's like it really just feels like Kyle doesn't have the ability or the desire to think outside of himself and his own needs. And not to generalize, but a lot of men are like that. But and changing from that, a lot of times like that comes with maturity, but it's kind of like, okay, now you're in your 40s. Like, how much longer is it going to take? It's like, right? So it's like if you're in your 40s and you're still really only thinking about your own needs and your own wants, etc., when is that ever going to change? I don't think so. But on that note, everyone, Summer House comes back on February 3rd, I believe. I have to double check. It's either February 3rd or 8th. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I have it on my Instagram story, but it's going to take forever to find it right now because I posted a million things today. But yeah, it's coming in February, early February. So know that, as the psychic would say, know that you'll have something to look forward to. Actually, there's a lot to look forward to coming up. I've got a list of dates and all the things starting in like the winter here. So in like February-ish. So when I get to the Bravo general news, I'll go through that at the end of the episode. So look out for that. Okay, let's talk about some Orange County news because Heather Dubrow is kind of implying that she's going to be maybe on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That being said, I'm not buying it yet. Okay. A lot of people have kind of like bought into it and are like, she's going to Beverly Hills, it's for sure. I don't think it is. I think this is her PR play for it, right? Because in order to like get back on these shows, you have to, put out these kind of like press releases and things like, according to a source, this person would be, and then there's a direct quote, open to going back on The Real Housewives of Atlanta or whatever the show is, right? And these people, they get their publicists to put those out so that they'll get people chattering and talking about it online, see what fan reaction is, and then maybe Bravo will be like, oh, look, everybody wants this person to come back. Like, I just saw Cynthia Jordan, who was on Real Housewives of Atlanta for like one season a long time ago, putting out a PR statement like that. Like, it was like, oh, sources say Cynthia is open to coming back to Atlanta because she has lots of ties there, knows lots of people, and did it, and it's like this whole quote. And it's like, yeah, like she's putting that out there because she probably knows that, maybe maybe it's like a casting cycle right now or whatever the case is. And, if everybody is like retweeting it and talking about it, bring her back, that does have an impact on if they bring you back. If no one really cares and no one really talks about it, which no one really did, sorry, Cynthia, then they don't. Am I saying Cynthia? I meant to say Claudia. I am so sorry. Claudia Jordan. Oh my God. Guys, the brain fog is real. The brain fog from this flu is incredibly real. So if I sound like a complete idiot on this episode, I need you to give me a pass. Okay. Just this time, please. Okay. Claudia, not Cynthia. Okay. Anyway, so Heather put out a picture of herself and it's so cheesy. Listen, she's like, mid skip. I don't know what to call it. Skip, doing a little jump, something. It reminds me of on Real Housewives of New York when Luann was like doing modeling pictures and she was like jumping in the air and like her like hair was like flowing in the fan. Like it's a lot like that. And it says, excited for what the new year may bring. And then it has 3 diamond emojis. Hashtag LFG, hashtag 2026. And then her husband commented, diamonds are forever. And then she replied, love you, honey. Okay, so again, a lot of people are taking this as, oh, Heather's for sure on Beverly Hills. I really don't think so. I think Heather's thing is that she believes that she's better for Beverly Hills, but I actually don't think that she is. Like, I get that she lives there, but she's kind of a good balance for OC. And I think she doesn't see that, and she needs to see that. It is good to have one of her personality type on OC. It's kind of needed to keep them from getting a little too, I don't know how to say this in a nice way, rough around the edges, which they can kind of be with that cast. Um, and she kind of keeps that class that you need on a housewives show, and without her, it's like, where is it? It becomes just a little too, again, rough around the edges. So, and that's really not needed on Beverly Hills. In fact, I would say there's too much of that on Beverly Hills. Not too much in terms of like money and stuff like that. You can never have enough of that. But there's too much of like the kind of like guarded rich woman who just wants to put out what she wants to put out, and who doesn't want to like kind of go to the extreme in terms of like the way that Tamra goes. Like, there's not enough of that. Like, you need more like real people on Beverly Hills. So Heather wouldn't help that issue. Heather would just make it worse, if anything, because Heather's willing to just be completely fake. And we have enough fakery on Beverly Hills. So I don't know. I'm not buying this, but I guess we'll see. So on that note, we might as well talk about Beverly Hills, because we're talking about Beverly Hills. Um, so on Crystal and Cynthia's podcast, and this time I'm using the right name, okay, Cynthia Bailey, as in former Atlanta housewife. So Crystal Kung Minkoff and Cynthia Bailey, they have a podcast, which is called Humble Brag, which is, I've heard, I haven't listened to it. I've just listened to their clips on social media, and they have a good chemistry, and I've heard good things about it. And they're both likable. They're both likable, and they're a good, like, they're a good team, I think. Anyways, so they were on it, and Crystal was talking about how Kyle Richards was recently on Watch What Happens Live, and she points out that when you go on Watch What Happens Live, you're generally talking about that week's episode, like what's going on that week. She says she thought it was interesting that Kyle was referencing things that happened at the end of the season, which made her wonder, why is the end already being brought up? And that was just kind of odd. And I guess also made her question, like, what's going on in the next few episodes? Well, I mean, there is a possibility, Crystal, that nothing is going on in the next few episodes, which is why Kyle's talking about the end. It could also just be that whatever happens at the end is more important to Kyle, or it had to do with her, because Kyle only thinks about herself. So she would, again, if it doesn't have anything to do with Kyle, she's probably not going to talk about it. We all know that's Kyle. Kyle is Kyle, right? And Crystal does acknowledge that. But it is kind of one of those things where it's like, I think it's just bringing up this general theme that I'm seeing from a lot of viewers and commenters online. It's kind of like, where are we going this season? Like, Amanda Francis has come in. I think she's a bit of a polarizing character, in the sense of like, you meet her, she's a scam artist, she's a bullshit artist, but it's like, how mad can I be at her about that? Because they all are. Like, don't try to convince me for 1 second that she's worse than Erica Jane and Dorit, because they both are scam artists too. Okay. They're both scam artists. They're both married to scam artists. Just because they're divorced from those scam artists doesn't make them innocent, in my opinion. Okay. So it's kind of like, how mad if she's going to fight with the other scam artists, I'm going to take her side, because so far she's the most innocent of the scam artists, right? It's like, there's no honor among thieves here. Okay. I'm not like going to be like, oh, well, Amanda has this, a self-help program and it's bullshit and she's taking advantage of people. Like, yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay. She probably is. And I'm sure it's going to come out one day and blow up in her face, and we're all going to watch it unfold. And that's why they chose her to be on the show. Right. I'm like, but is it worse than like the plane crash victims? Probably not. It's like, okay. Anyways. So I just kind of think it's like one of those things where it's like, there's the whole Amanda Francis of it all and her having a conflict with Erica, but it's hard to see that there's like what else is happening this season or what other direction it's going in. I don't know. It's, there's not like, besides talking about these divorces ad nauseum, including Sutton's, that is like a divorce from like a really long time ago. It's like, what are we talking about? Right. I'm going to need a little bit more, Beverly Hills. I'm going to need you to step it up a bit. That being said, Rachel Zoe, she's great. I'm really enjoying her. If only the rest of them would be kind of as real as she is, that would be good. So in other Beverly Hills news, Mauricio and Kyle were very touchy and warm at a New Year's Eve bash, and sources said they are, quote, very obviously together. So the source, just in case you're wondering who it is, it's Kyle's people. Um, I don't know that for a fact, but I basically do. This is so obviously a Kyle PR plant because whenever we're not talking about Kyle, she always puts out something like this, whether it's in relation to Morgan or in relation to Mauricio or whatever. Like she loves and has been loving the quote unquote guessing game over the last few years. I mean, we all hate it, but she's been loving it. Oh, are they together? Are they not together? What's her sexuality? Like, like she loves everyone questioning it, which is why I'm not buying into this whole like victim narrative of like, stop questioning me. Like she wants this. Okay. So, and now it's like on to the next phase, which is now we're all going to be, or she wants us to all be questioning whether her and Mauricio are getting back together or not. So Kyle and Mauricio started the new year falling back on familiar territory. So apparently they were very obviously together at Kate Hudson and Cade Hudson's New Year's Eve party in Aspen, Colorado. So an eyewitness tells Page Six they were really enjoying one another's company. They had their arms around one another and were very touchy and warm with one another all night. They were very obviously together and wanting to spend the party by one another's side. If you didn't know they had split up, you would presume they were still happily married. Okay. Again, okay, good for them. They can do what they want. I think it's a mistake. I just don't think that Mauricio wants to be tied down to one person based on, his midlife crisis and his photo shoots. I don't know. Maybe she's going to say like, oh, well, he got it out of his system and now he's good. Or maybe that's how she's like convincing herself of it. I think he's going to end up just doing something to hurt her again. And I think it's a mistake. But if it's even real, because again, I don't even know if I believe this story. I really don't. Okay. Last Beverly Hills story. Let's talk about Aaron Pfeiffer is being evicted from LA home over $84K in unpaid rent. Now, it says in the headline that Denise Richards and ex-Aaron were evicted from the home, but I don't think, I think technically, Denise was renting it and she was paying the rent, but she wasn't living there. Okay. So this was a home that they were renting in Calabasas. And the reason they're being evicted is because of failure to pay rent, of course. And according to court documents obtained by Page Six, a Los Angeles Superior Court judge signed off on the landlord's request to evict them from the property on Friday. So according to the complaint, the two owe $84,000 in rent that they haven't paid. The landlord is also requesting the two pay attorney's fees and for damages to the property. Okay. So I guess this lease was signed in June 2020 and they paid a $24,000 security deposit. I can't believe people can afford that. It's so wild. Okay. It's like so outside my world, my reality. So Denise says that she moved out of the home 2 years ago. Okay. And according to her filing, she was under the impression that basically Aaron and his family, well, and the family themselves, because up until the divorce, it was just his family living there, not him, or separation, whatever, but that they would only live there. She was under the impression they would only live there temporarily. Well, I mean, this is a family of users, though, and I'm sure Denise has realized that at this point. Now that she's left him and seen kind of what his family does. But this is a family of they were fully taking advantage of her. Like, there is no reason that your wife should be paying for your family, like your parents and sibling, whoever it is, should be paying all their living expenses and their rent. That's insanity. Like, that is, it's like, oh, he bagged a celebrity. Like, let's take advantage. Like, it's crazy. So I guess starting in January, I'm assuming January of last year, um, he was supposed to be in charge of the rent. Okay. Because his family still lived in the home and they refused to leave. Okay. So the filing stated that the ex's landlord had allegedly been trying to contact Pfeiffer's about unpaid rent for the past 6 months, but had been unable to get a hold of him. And then they served the eviction notice. So Richards also alleged that Pfeiffer's and his family had severely damaged the house, describing the condition as being in a state of disarray. So yeah. And I remember that he did that little like story where he had like, I can't remember, like Access Holly. I can't remember who it was. It was one of those news shows, those entertainment news shows where he had like the cameras come in and look around the house and like, oh, look how damaged it is. And what, and it was so crazy because they were like trying to blame Denise. But then it was like, okay, but she hasn't lived here for 2 years. Like, she hasn't lived here in years. You guys have been living here and you're refusing to leave. And she's paying for it. So maybe you should clean it up. Like, why does she like it's so insane. And then I even heard that his mother, Aaron's mother, has started a GoFundMe saying that, her son is like going to be on the street and that, he needs help with his legal bills and, he's being taken advantage of by this evil ex-wife of his and all this stuff. It is so insane. Like, I really, from what I'm seeing from this family, this seems like narcissism. And I don't just mean like a narcissistic trait, but like a personality disorder runs in this family. Like, it is absolutely like there is some serious issues in this family. I mean, this is like an evil family. It's like, my God. Anyways, wishing Denise, as usual, safety and all the best. Cause my God, I'm not gonna lie, I worry about her like with this situation. I really do. Cause this guy seems unhinged and dangerous. Okay, let's talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac next, who are having a fantastic season. And I am annoyed that we haven't gotten any Potomac episodes over this break, but I guess we're getting one tonight. Yes. Long awaited, and I'm very excited about it. All right, so I think that Miss Angel Massey is not enjoying maybe how she's coming off on the show. I don't want to say how she's being portrayed, but yeah, I guess we could say that. But she's also not enjoying maybe some of the fan reaction and the hazing that she's getting from these ladies. I mean, here's the thing. If you have any knowledge of this show, these women haze. Like, they haze when there's a new person in the group. And yeah, I mean, Angel's kind of getting, I mean, not always, it depends, but like Tia's not really getting hazed. But Stacy certainly is, and Angel is as well. And a lot of it, I'm sorry, a lot of it is by Angel's own making, because she needs to she needs to be able to laugh at herself a little bit more, which she doesn't seem to be able to do. And she is kind of making like her entire identity about like being an NFL, like a wag or whatever. It's like, anyways, so she had things to say on Twitter. So somebody tweeted and said, this was after the last episode. Okay, so this is a couple weeks old, but again, I'm catching up on news, so just bear with me here. Somebody said, week after week, I'm watching some housewives and their fans tear at you, lie, and do the absolute most. You've been much more patient and, sorry, it's I can't see the rest, but I'm assuming much more patient and kind or something like that. So Angel retweeted that and said, let's be clear. I am from Maryland. I know where the bones are buried, but I keep it classy. Done. Because this was after the episode where it was like, is she really from Maryland? Did she just rent a house there for the show and then decided she doesn't like these ladies? So now she's going back to Colorado. Like, what's going on? Which, again, I don't think is an unfair question from the women. I mean, I think it's kind of like, maybe a bit unfair to be like, she's being evicted when I don't think she's being evicted. I think I think she was renting for the amount of time that she thought filming was. And then I think filming was done, or filming wasn't done as soon as she thought it would be. And I don't know, maybe she's not able, like, maybe she's lying about whether or not she really wants to buy a house there. That is possible. But if that's the case, like, you can't kind of come on this show and expect Giselle, etc., to not be jumping all over you, because that's how this cast is. Okay, so then she said, let's be very clear. If I could have seen the cash shit talked about me behind my back week after week, I would have moved different. My objective was to be cool with everyone. But the three witches wouldn't let up, and now I am done. Done in capital letters. Yeah, I mean, I do think her objective was to be cool with everyone. Like, she didn't go in like, you know, trying to start conflict and like, you know, like she wasn't like I'm trying to think of an example of another person who came in like trying to start shit right off the bat. She wasn't like one of those. But I also think that sometimes when you are too conflict avoidant on these shows, and again, unless you're like a super fan of Housewives like myself, you don't maybe pay attention to like kind of the nuances of like of how this stuff works. And there is a lot to it. You know, if you come in too conflict avoidant, then you can also put a target on your head, because then the cast is like, are you here? Are you working or not? Like, what are we doing? Right. So I think that was a little bit. And I also think that like they threw some quote unquote light shade at her to get her in the mix with the whole catfish thing, but she just could not let it go. And I think it's like it's like when your sibling is bothering you. You know, when you have an older sibling and they're teasing you and they see it's bugging you, they just keep going and going. It's very much like that, you know? Okay, so let me get back to it. She also says, letting people think they want to think in the name of class. Letting people think what they want to think in the name of class does nothing, and I'm done with it. I don't really know what that means. Then she tweets, I have read 1,000,001 lies about myself, stories people have made up to feed a need for whatever reason to believe I'm some person I'm not. I've stayed largely silent, but last night's episode takes the cake. Giselle is lying. She has no word on the street because no one knew her on the street before joining this show. Okay, but she's been on the show for like 10 years. So people do know her now. Like, I'm just, okay. Listen, I'm not like the biggest like Giselle fan or defender, but like to say like, oh, well, she was no one before the show. Well, the show's been on for a decade though. So she is someone. And like, technically everyone starts as kind of like, if we're talking about like society and like a reputation and whatever, everyone kind of starts with nothing, and then maybe, unless they're born into some like, you know, old money family, and then they kind of like make a name for themselves, or they do something that, you know, whether it's become a football star or marry a football star or whatever, own a business and make it big in the community. You know, no one is like born and it's like, oh, that little baby over there is really someone. Again, unless you're like the old money people. So it's kind of like she made a name for herself. She divorced her ex preacher guy husband, Pastor Holy Horror, whatever his name was. Then she came to Potomac and got on this show, and now she has made like, you can't, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. Okay. I mean, it makes sense, but it's stupid. It's a stupid point. Okay. No one knew her on the street before joining the show. Yeah, again, no one knew any of these women before joining the show. Like, I'm sorry, for the most part. Okay. Like I could say no one knew you. Like, you might be known in like the NFL circle because you're married to what's his name, but like I didn't know who you were. Anyways, okay. Wendy's quote unquote mutual friend. Yeah, that conversation never happened. I spoke with her. Lies. Ashley just needs to join in on a storyline. My family's wealth, I don't speak on it unless I'm asked by producers in confessionals. But the fact of the matter is, none of this cast can compare. Let's be clear. I mean, she's probably right about that because I think her husband made like 40 million in the NFL. Week after week, I am maligned, lied on by almost each member of this ensemble, and y'all expect me to do cartwheels in their presence? Get the fuck out of here. I am me and will continue to be. It's not my problem that people have mistaken my calm for anything but that. Okay, but I do have to say that Angel needs to remember that she's on Real Housewives of Potomac, and having the most money is really irrelevant. Like, it doesn't, the people with kind of like the least when this show started are the ones that kind of run the show, if we're going to be honest. Like, Giselle is in a good, I think Giselle has done very well for herself, and she's by no means, quote unquote poor. Um, Giselle, but it's not like Giselle started the show with millions of dollars. Like, she has in the millions of net worth now, but you get to be kind of the top dog in Potomac because of just like your personality and your presence, your ability to be funny and entertaining. Because if it was just the case about who has the most money, Charisse would still be on the show, and she's not. Right. Because in the beginning, Charisse by far had the most money of the cast. Right. And had the most like kind of connections and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's one of Angel's other problems, is that she really depends on like money, properties, that kind of thing to kind of carry her on this show. And it's really just not enough. And it's not what this show is about. Okay, so that's it on Angel. She's not having the best first season. I actually want her to come back though. I'm not gonna lie. Even though like I don't really like her per se, but I do like her. I like how bad she is at this show. Like, I actually find how bad she is at it like really entertaining. And I just kind of think, now that she's kind of seen how things work, I think she needs another season and just see what would happen. And then if she still doesn't do it, then okay, next. Like, thank you, next. Ashley was on Watch What Happens Live, and she was asked about why she is so concerned about Stacey's relationship, which is a good question. And she says, I'm not, okay? I'm concerned about truth and authenticity. Really, Ashley? You weren't concerned about truth when your husband was running around grabbing people's asses. You seemed concerned about covering it up and saving your reputation. So, like, I'm just not, like, Ashley is just not the one who has any right to be questioning, like, authenticity and truth and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just, she is the last person. Like, she's a mess. Okay. And then she also was asked, why is it such a problem for Stacey to be with Chris when, by the way, you are kissing Charissa's son? And Ashley says, well, it's not a problem, but why lie about it? Okay, but there was an implication that there was a problem with it. Like, don't gaslight and pretend like you weren't implying that you were trying to start something. Like, you brought Monique on the show and then you brought it up like right when Monique was coming on the show. So if you are doing that, then you are clearly like implying that, this is going to be like some drama between Stacey and Monique. So don't play dumb, Ashley, even though maybe you are, but don't play dumb. We know what you're doing. Okay. Ashley also talks more about what happened with Charissa's son, which the audience does not approve of, myself included. It's just weird. It's weird. Like, I think about my friends and like my friends who have older kids who are like I do have a couple friends who have older kids who are like in their 20s. And I'm like, that would be the creepiest, weirdest thing. And it would never even cross my mind. Like, what is the matter with you? Like, I don't care how hot he is. Like, I don't care if Charisse is even okay with it. It's weird. I just think it's a weird line that you just don't cross. Especially when you've like watched the kid like grow up. Like, I don't know. Okay. Well, I do know it's weird. Okay. So Ashley says Charisse's son asked her to keep it a secret from Charisse. So that's why they didn't tell her initially. Which, and doesn't that alone tell you that it's wrong? Like why is he trying to hide it? Because he knows it's weird too. You all know it's weird, right? So, and we all know that Charisse is kind of was acting on the show like she was okay with it, but it's kind of like, well, I wonder how she really feels about it behind closed doors. Okay, so she says there may have been, and then he asks, was it just a kiss? And Ashley's like, well, there might have been more than just a kiss, and she's acting all coy, which again, like gross. Okay. And then she says that she was worried when they were kissing that Charisse would see it on her security cam. What is wrong with you, Ashley? Like, you are coming off like such a creepy creepster. I can't. I really can't. Okay. So, and again, the fact that this is going on and that they are all coming after, Stacy about like maybe having gone on a date with Chris, a single man, while she was separated. Like, it's infuriating to say the least. We do have some updates here from the Osefos case as well. So, a Carroll County prosecutor said investigators found 67 credit and debit cards in 4 different luxury wallets, including a Chanel one previously reported stolen. Okay, so the Osefos were in court. Okay, the Westminster courtroom, and what they were trying to do is basically squash subpoenas for 8 years worth of their records, which their lawyers said were private and confidential. So the prosecutor, Melissa Hawkins Smith, argued that the state needs the records, most of which they've already received from the Osefos banks. So this is a quote from the prosecutor, who says the public has an interest in these crimes and to make sure justice is done in this case. Okay. The judge declined to make a decision while in court, said he would rule on the matter Friday afternoon, and said he was inclined to agree with the state, however. So basically, they want to look back at their bank records for like years and years. And I guess the prosecutor is going to be trying to use this against the Osefos in this insurance fraud case. And Wendy and Eddie's lawyer is saying that it's not relevant to this specific case. So they're trying to get that thrown out. So from this article, it says that there's supposed to be an update Friday afternoon. I'm recording this on Sunday. I did a search. I cannot find an update on if the judge made a decision on this. So I don't know, or if I just can't find it right now, but I will look and hopefully get back to you on the next episode, or I'm sure there's going to be an update on this soon. So yeah, we will see what happens. But yeah, I'm sure that it would be in Wendy and Eddie's best interest for, for them to not be able to look back at the bank records. But from what I've heard, this prosecutor is pretty this prosecutor's going for it and is quote unquote strong from what I've seen from people who have been reporting on this, and it's pretty crazy. Okay, so speaking of lawsuits, let's talk about Real Housewives of Miami before we end off this part 1, because I think I'm going to need to do a part 2 because we have so much news to catch up on. So this is just kind of a quick story here, but Todd is actually dismissing his defamation lawsuit against Bravo. So if you remember, he was suing Bravo for defamation, him and like everyone else, including, what's it called? What's her name? Kelly from Real Housewives of Atlanta. Her ex-husband was suing frickin' Leah McSweeney. Just like so many people have been suing Bravo in the last couple of years, it seems. But yeah, Todd is dropping his lawsuit. I'm not surprised. I didn't think he was ever really going to do it, but he officially dismissed it earlier this week. So that was, this is a bit of an older story. So that was kind of like just before Christmas, which I guess is kind of a smart time to do it because people are sort of busy and they're not paying attention to the news as much. And people didn't pay attention to this as much as far as I could see. But what I will say is that, I think that the lawsuit from the jump was kind of just a way to kind of like try and clear his name or make it seem like his reputation was better than what Bravo was saying it was. I think it was a way to, just kind of garner some attention, like some kind of fuck Bravo and my ex-wife or whoever, her not ex-wife, but I guess ex, and co-stars on the show, and screw this show. I'm not going to be a part of it anymore. I really just think it was more of a reputation, an attempt to rehabilitate what he feels is damaged from his reputation. But I think that, and to flex, I think he was trying to flex how much money he has and power he has, especially since a lot of the rumors kind of revolved around is he broke? Does he have any money? So I think that doing that was kind of his way to put himself in some kind of status or power position. And he may have believed in that to a point, if he is a true narcissist, as Alexia says that he is, but I don't know. But it does seem like that was kind of the point of the lawsuit. And I think at the end of the day, you really have to have funds and, a lot of patience and ability to really go up against, NBC Universal. This is not just Bravo. This is NBC Universal. They have ironclad contracts that you have signed. They have teams of lawyers. They have unlimited funds. So it's not an easy thing to do, right? If we're just getting real here. And I don't think Todd has as much as he's ever said that he has. So yeah. Okay, everyone, stay tuned because part 2 is coming at you. Thanks for listening. Bye. Thanks for listening, everyone. Your support really means everything to me, and this show wouldn't be possible without you, the listeners. So please, if you enjoy the podcast, leave a 5-star rating and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. For more, you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/BravoandBotox, and for $5 a month, you'll get 4 extra podcast episodes a month. You'll also get early releases of Bravo Paper episodes and more. Please also subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Bravo Papers and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, at Bravo and Botox and at The Bravo Papers. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can at buymeacoffee.com/Bravo and Botox. Send your love through some much needed caffeine. And any guest that was on today's episode will be in the show notes, all their social media and contact information. So thank you so much, everyone. Keep overanalyzing Bravo.